Hello, I'm Sarah from South London Sling Library. Today I'd like to talk to you about using the BabyBjorn Original Carrier. These are very commonly passed on. So you might receive one of these as a hand-me-down from a friend or a family member who may have mixed reviews about it. But sometimes people are reluctant to use them. Either they don't know how to use it, they feel it looks complicated, or they've heard, should we say, some negative press about carriers with a narrow base, a narrow seat. Perhaps they've heard that it might be bad for their baby's hips. So let's talk about hips first. If your baby doesn't have a problem with their hips, and you don't have a family history of problems with hips, then it's really not something you need to worry too much about. If your baby, say your baby was breech before they were born or at birth, and you're waiting to get a hip scan done for your baby to make sure that their hips have developed optimally, then I would say you need to make sure your baby is seated in a sling in absolutely the most optimal position. And perhaps this may not be the carrier for you if your baby's slightly on the bigger side. If you have a small baby who doesn't have a problem with their hips, you don't have a family history of problems with hips, then it's really not going to be an issue. The research to back up the whole issue around hips and slings really isn't there. The research that gets thrown around was badly written, badly read, and then has been badly publicised. The researchers gave carriers with narrow bases to two groups of babies, one group of babies who had problems with their hips, one group of babies who did not have problems with their hips, and told the parents to use them for a certain period of day. I think it was about an hour a day or something. The group of babies that did have problems with their hips, 18% of them got slightly worse when they were held in a carrier with a narrow base. The group of babies who did not have problems with their hips were unaffected. That research has then been read as narrow base carriers bad for babies' hips, and that's how it's been publicised. And it's just not accurate to say that at all. So if your baby has a problem with their hips, seek advice from a carrying professional who can help you to get your baby seated in the most optimal position with their knees up, their bottom down, and not putting any additional pressure on their hips to allow their hips to develop in an optimal manner until you've had that scan and you've got the all clear. What I would say is carriers that hold your baby in an optimal position with their knees up and their bottom down in that proper kind of deck chair style seat are going to be more comfortable for you, because as your baby grows, carriers that hold your baby in that deck chair style seat will distribute their weight more effectively around your torso, and so they will feel lighter. With a carrier with a narrow base, as your baby gets bigger, their legs get longer, and the carrier, because of the small seat, no longer supports them from the back of one knee into the back of the other knee in that proper seated position. They can start to feel heavy because their weight pulls down and away from you, and you start to really feel it in your back as their body pulls away from your body, away from your centre of gravity. These carriers are kind of optimised for sort of 0 to 3 months. And if you can put it on and tick all your safety boxes and feel comfortable, there is nothing wrong with it. As I said, as long as you don't have that problem with hips already pre-existing. As long as you are comfortable and you're ticking all your safety boxes, it's absolutely fine. It's just that as your baby gets bigger, I'm sure you would be more comfortable in a carrier with a wider base, such as one of the newer BabyBjorns, or lots of other brands that allow your baby to sit in a more optimal position, which not only is better, more comfortable for them, but it's more comfortable for you, because having their knees up and their bottom down, getting in that proper kind of deck chair style seat, distributes the weight around your torso more effectively. Having said all of that, this is fine. If it works for you and you're comfortable in it and your baby doesn't have a problem with their hips, go for it. I'll show you how to use it. You can try it on, see what you think. So if you undo all of the clips. It's got 4 clips on the baby carrier sections. It's got these kind of round ones at the top, and then it's got the red and blue sliders at the side. Undo all of those. It's also got these 2 little plastic clips at the bottom, and these 2 sections come apart. You've then got a parent harness and a baby carrier section. What you want to do is hold your parent harness so that you can read the logo. So if I hold it like that, I can read that logo quite the right way up. And then all I'm going to do is swing that behind me like a jacket and put it on. Bringing these small plastic clips in front of me, I can see that this is going to fit. I don't need to make it any bigger. If somebody else I'd just been given it and somebody else had been wearing it, and I can't even get those clips anywhere near each other, what I would need to do is hold, this is my short side, you just saw me tighten it, hold this side, put my fingers under the buckle here and just push backwards and pull that strap forwards. There you go, and it loosens. Just like a rucksack on a bag, really. If you lift the strap, it's easier to move the webbing through. Where the straps cross behind me, so that little plastic section that had the logo on it, you want to make sure that's nice and low on your body. It does slide up and down the straps. So get somebody, if you've got somebody with you, get them to move it around for you. If you're on your own, hold those straps together in front of you. You want to be able to reach that. It should be roughly just slightly below your shoulder blades or kind of bra strap height. Otherwise, take this off, move the plastic square on the straps and put it back on again. I see a lot of people and they're wearing it with the plastic bit up there, and that's just not comfortable, because what happens is you'll end up hanging the baby's weight off the back of your neck and you won't be comfortable. So get that cross section nice and low on your back. I've got these little plastic clips in front of me. If I get hold of my baby carrier section, it's got a plastic section here. These will just clip in. Before we do that, you've got a height chart on the base of the carrier there. Ignore it. Don't worry. Honestly, if you've got a standard size newborn, pull it all the way through so it's on technically its smallest size. I'll show you how to make sure that's the right size, and then you can make it a bit taller if you want to by moving this plastic clip down that chart. But really, numbers don't belong on a sling. So don't worry too much about the actual centimetres or, whatever. They have got inches on there. But don't worry too much about the actual height of your baby, because most hospitals shouldn't be measuring baby's height anymore. It's really not relevant. So yeah, don't bother. You're going to take the plastic clips on the bottom of your shoulder straps, and they just very handily clip in to that section there. And then you've got your parent harness on and you've got your baby carrier section hanging down in front of you. If this is very loose, you can tighten up a little bit if you want to, but don't tighten up too much, because what you don't want to do is pull these straps out that way, which is then going to make it harder to be able to put your sliders into your little colour-coded holes when the time comes. So I've got that on relatively loosely. Might just loosen up a little bit more. So if you need to loosen up, hold that strap at your side, put your finger under the plastic buckle and pull the strap forwards. Yeah, same on the other side. So hold the strap, put your finger under the plastic buckle, lift the plastic buckle and pull the strap through. There we go. So parent harness, baby carrier section. Now I need my baby. So this is Jamie. Jamie is my newborn size demo doll. And as much as if I'm holding Jamie in my arms, I might hold them here. There's no point trying to get a carrier around them up there, because that's not where I want them to sit when they're sitting in my carrier. I want them to sit here, nice and high on my chest, with their head on the firm part of my chest, above my breast tissue, any soft chest tissue that you might have. You want baby to sit above any of that soft tissue. I can then just encourage Jamie to have their knees up. They don't need to wrap their legs around me. Most newborns absolutely don't want to do that, but it's quite hard if they've got their legs hanging down in front of them to try and get a carrier around them. So just encourage your baby to get their knees up. And if they do that kind of knees up, bottom down, seated position, generally their feet are then slightly to the sides. If your baby is very, very curled up and still has their feet right up under their bottom, then you may need to kind of squish the carrier just to get it between their feet. And you can then simply roll it around their body, like so. I've then got my colour-coded sliders, and if I just encourage Jamie's hand up towards their face, I can get my blue slider just into the blue hole that's on my strap there. So lift it, slide it down into that hole, swap the hand that's supporting Jamie. Again, tuck Jamie's elbow in, their hand up towards their face, and find my red slider and my red hole, excuse me Jamie, and get that down in there. Now, I don't want this carrier to come all the way up over Jamie's head because it makes it hard for me to monitor Jamie's airways, makes me hard to see them properly. So I'm going to take that headrest and I'm just going to fold it down so that it just sits nicely in the nape of Jamie's neck. The great thing about these buckles is if I then bring that towards the button that's on the strap there, it actually will just do up backwards. So it's a really easy way to hold that headrest down. Right, now I'm aware that this is still very loose. So before I let go of Jamie, because what I don't want is I don't want to let go of Jamie and have the whole carrier slide towards the floor, which would then put Jamie sitting between my breasts, in that kind of range of that soft chest tissue where they could snuggle in and obstruct their airway. So holding Jamie above those soft spaces on my body, I'm then going to take hold of this strap and I'm just going to pull forwards to tighten, swap hands, same on the other side, pull forwards to tighten till I'm nice and snug, and then I can let go of Jamie. The next thing I'm going to do is put my hands into the leg holes of the carrier here, and I'm just going to put my hands around Jamie's pelvis like that, so thumbs in front of their hips and fingers behind their bottom, and I want to tilt their bottom in towards me. What that does in a real baby is it picks their knees up and it puts their weight on the back of their bottom. With demo dolls it doesn't really do an awful lot, but it's because they're made mostly of plastic and sand and don't have any muscle tone or, you know. But yeah, if you tilt your baby's bottom in towards you, you shift their weight onto the back of their bottom and it brings their knees up like that and they get that nice seated position. What that seated position does is encourages a lovely natural curl to your baby's spine, and when your baby's relaxed, they'll just rest their head on your chest. That's one of the reasons you don't need a massive great head support. And actually, if you have that headrest up most of the time, some babies will even burrow to get away from it. They don't like that pressure on the back of their heads. And you also don't want to squish your baby's face into your chest. So allowing them to have that movement to be able to lift their head and turn to face the other direction is always kind of the aim. You just want the carrier to sit in the nape of their neck. So in terms of safety, let's see if you can tick your safety boxes. The word to remember is ticks because we want to tick our safety boxes. The T stands for tight. Your baby should be as tightly held against you as if you were holding them in your arms. So you want to be able to put your hand on the back of your baby's head, do a little dip forward and not feel their body weight pull away from you at all. If they do, then you can tighten slightly. Unfortunately, with the BabyBjorn Original, as you tighten that, it mostly tightens the parent harness. It doesn't tighten the baby carrier section. So if you've tightened it to be snug enough for you, you don't want to stop yourself breathing or anything like that, but if it's tight enough for you, but as you do that dip, you still feel your baby's body weight pull away from you, then you may need to wait a week or so and then maybe try again, just to allow your baby to fill out, to use up the extra space that they've got in the baby carrier section, so that you're not feeling their body weight pull away from you. What you don't want is a baby who's slightly too small, who pulls away from you, because that pulling away means that they have space in the sling that they could slump into, put their chin on their chest and close their airway. If you can put your hand on their head, do that little dip forward and not feel their body weight pull away, it means they don't have that space that they could slump into. The I from the word tics stands for in view. This is one of the other reasons why we don't use this headrest all of the time. I want to be able to look down and see my baby's face without having to open anything or move the headrest or move any straps or anything like that to be able to see them. The C stands for close enough to kiss. This honestly is about boobs. It's about having the baby on the flat part of your chest above your breast or soft chest tissue. If you don't have breasts or soft chest tissue and you find that your baby sits a little bit lower on your body, as long as you're happy that their airways are open, it's really not a massive disaster if they're just out of kissing range. Most people find that when the baby is held nice and high in their centre of gravity, they actually are within kissing range. If you find your baby's just out of kissing range, but you haven't got breast or soft chest tissue, don't worry too much, as long as you're happy that their airways are open. The K from the word tics stands for keeping baby's chin off baby's chest. And the easiest way to tell that your baby's chin is off their chest is to do the ugly double chin manoeuvre and make sure you can see the tip of your baby's nose. And as long as you can see from the tip of their nose and everything above that, then their chin is off their chest. If your baby puts their chin down onto their chest, their nose points at the floor and you won't be able to see. All you'll be able to see will be the top of their head. If your baby is a face planter and puts their face against your chest like that, again, if you do the ugly double chin manoeuvre, you may still be able to see the tip of their nose. There's a huge difference between your baby putting their face on you like that and your baby doing that. You want to make sure they haven't got their chin on their chest. If they've put their face against you like that, let's face it, take your flat hand, put it on your face, you can still breathe. So it's not necessarily a massive disaster if your baby is face planted against you, but you may want to consider what you're wearing. Make sure you have light layers on and not a great big fluffy jumper that might obstruct their airway. You can always then layer over the top by adding a cardigan or something to keep your arms warm should you need some extra warmth. The S from the word tics stands for supported spine, and you can make sure your baby is fully supported by putting a hand on their back, lightly pressing, and they even got room to get closer to you or uncurl or sit up. And again, similar to this test, it's about making sure that they haven't got space in the sling where they could slump into and put their chin on their chest and close their airway. As long as you can tick all of your safety boxes and you are comfortable, a carrier like this is absolutely perfectly safe to use. As long as your baby doesn't have any concerns with, as long as you don't have any concerns with your baby's hips. Otherwise, you need them to sit in that optimal position with their knees up and their bottom down. If a carrier like this is your only option, let's face it, we're all feeling the pinch. If somebody's passed one of these on to you, but your baby does have a problem with their hips, or you're not sure, you've got a family history perhaps of hip problems, and you're waiting for your scan, but you really have no other option than a carrier like this, it's absolutely fine. What you're going to be looking for is a scarf or something similar. And what you want to do is bunch it up, put it under your baby's bottom into the backs of their knees to help pick their knees up. Take it behind you and tie a double knot. What that's going to do is help to keep your baby's knees picked up and distribute the weight effectively around your torso, but also keep their knees up, which allows their hip sockets to develop in a more optimal position. You can also spread that scarf out, which really helps to kind of hug them into your body and keep them in that knees up, bottom down position. But if your baby doesn't have a problem with their hips, you don't have any concerns in that area, then it's absolutely fine. you just will find that as your baby gets bigger, their legs start to hang down, they'll arch their back, their weight will pull away from you, and you'll start to feel it in your back. If your baby's absolutely crashed out, so let's say you need to, they're properly asleep, and you've decided to take this opportunity to pick up yesterday's clothes from them. We're doing very basic, I'm not advocating housework, but you just want to pick up yesterday's clothes off your bedroom floor, right? You can put a hand on your baby's head and you can bend down. Let's face it, we should all be bending from the knees, not from the hips, but we don't. So you can put a hand on your baby's head, bend down, pick stuff up, not a problem, yeah? For me, so if you need to bend down and use both of your hands, for me it's picking up after the dog, then what you can do, you may not have a hand free to support your baby's head as you bend down. You can then use your headrest. Pop it up, you can tighten it at the sides if you need to, little strap at the sides, you can use just to tighten, they've got both sides, and you can then bend down, use both hands to do whatever it is you're doing, pick up after the dog, pick up some Lego from your older child, whatever it is you need to do. I'm still not advocating housework, so, you know, delegate, it's all good. But if you need to bend down and use both your hands, you can use the headrest. Once you're then standing up again, just fold that back down so that your baby has that space, and it's easier to monitor their airways. To take this carrier off, I'm going to support my baby's weight, undo one side, undo the other side. These clips just squeeze the outside and lift away. They're very easy to use. Again, squeeze and lift. Then your sliders, your colour-coded sliders, this one's my blue one. If you get your thumb and index finger, you want to squeeze that clip, and what you'll feel is the coloured piece of plastic, the blue or red plastic on the back, will move. So as it moves, so squeeze it and lift. It kind of undoes the little clip inside. So squeeze and lift, and then swap hands, squeeze and lift. And then you can just put a hand between your baby and the carrier, let the carrier flop down, and just concentrate on holding your baby. So there you go. If you then want to, don't get stuck in your carrier. If you then wanted to take it off, come down here, and the little circle that you've got on either side, if you just squeeze that, it slides out. But you don't have to take it off. You can leave it clipped on and just wear it through the course of the day, and then just pop your baby in and out as you need to. I hope that helps. If you'd like to look at any of our slings and carriers, you can do so at southlondonslings.co.uk. They're all available for hire, or you can always have a consultation either in person or online if you'd like help using one of your slings or carriers, or you might want to have a look at some of our online courses which can help you troubleshoot some of the most frequently seen slings and carriers that we have at the library. I hope that helps, and I'll see you soon. Bye.